People can pull cash from whole life insurance policies if there's a cash value. Yeah. They also can do ROBs,
Rob's. I was
rollovers.
just gonna say on
Yeah.
Rob's.
Yeah, you can do
So
ROBs. You can borrow from 401k, which is good because if you have a 401k, then you're borrowing from yourself. So that's always a good thing. And using that in combination with SBA loans is always kind of doable. Louis,
don't you need a third party for the Rob's though? You need a. It's like a.
yeah, the
You need a
TPAs,
third
and that
party
can be an
person.
expensive proposition. Benetrends and Guidant, I think, are two of the largest that do the ROBS programs. The ROBS, what does it stand for? Rollover.
Or something. I always forget what the B's for. You're rolling over your IRAs and 401ks. And then people will call you as buyers and say, hey, I've got this 401k. I want to use it to buy a business. You have to get this third party involved because you can't just take the money from that rollover and buy a business with it. It's some ruling that is, but you would know.
Well, I don't deal with those every day, so I don't know. I have to look it up.
Yeah, I've had
But I
quite a.
do know I've got a couple clients that just went through hell to undo the ROBS because
Oh, wow.
ROBS they just wanted out because it's very restrictive in what you can do. So um, yeah,
And that whole
that's
life
why I
insurance
think
thing.
borrowing against your 401k may be a better deal because then you don't have the restrictions, you don't have the overhead, you don't have a lot of the stuff that's associated with the ROBS.
I only mentioned the whole life because the first smaller Main Street businesses, sometimes people they need 30 grand to put down on a
Yeah.
$70,000 business. And sometimes there's money in those policies that it's a no, you pay interest, but it's not going to go against income or anything if you're going to get a loan at some
Ah,
point.
thank you, Daniel. Rollovers
Oh,
as
business startup.
business startups. Perfect. Um, yeah, there's other things you can do too. If somebody has like a stock portfolio, they can borrow against that. Um, there are other ways of coming up with small amounts of cash. Home equity loans. I've seen people get home equity loans when they're buying a business that's under that $200,000 range because actually the interest rates on home equity loans are typically lower than your SBA loans. So, I mean, and SBA is going to put a lien on your house anyways. So you might as well just get the equity loan from there. So, yeah, but there are lots of ways when you're needing small amounts for the micro businesses. There's a lot of different ways of going about that.
I was actually just curious, like how much of your time actually goes into educating your clients about like funding options? Like maybe an SBA is the way that they should go, but they're not fully aware of that. Do you kind of like sit with them and educate them on their funding options?
I don't represent buyers typically. I represent sellers. So sellers are not looking for funding. Sellers are looking for tax mitigation. Now that being said, when I market the listings, I have buyers come to me. That's what happens. And so I do end up working both sides of the transaction most of the time. The buyers, yeah, I do ask them if they have talked to an SBA lender, or depending on the business, if I may have already had the business pre-qualified by an SBA lender. So then I just say, hey, have you talked to an SBA lender yet? If not, I already have one that I can refer you to that's already taken a look at the business financials, and their bank has already said that yes, they'd be interested in underwriting a loan. They just need to go ahead and qualify you as a buyer. So if you want me to put you in touch with them, I'd be happy to do so. So I just handle it that way. If it's a micro business, it's not going to be SBA financeable, then yes, I might ask them, hey, do you have an equity line of credit, or how are you intending to pay for the business? What's your source of funds? Or do you have one? Do you need to get a loan? If so, I might have some other lenders that I might be able to refer them to.